We are live. What's up, my friends? Abbie here, and welcome to another Write With Me live stream. I'm so glad you could join me today. First things first, tell me if you can see me and hear me okay. Let's make sure all of the equipment is working before we get started. So type in the chat, tell me if you can see me, and tell me what you are working on today. I would love to hear about your current work in progress. Some of you are probably still working on the projects that you were working on in June during our virtual writing retreat, which was super fun. I know I'm still working on my project that I was working on in June. I've been working on it for several months now, and it is the third book in my historical mystery series, which I'm very pleased with how it's coming out. This book has been a real journey for me. This whole series has been, but this book is particularly very long and very complex. So yeah, I'm in the home stretch now, kind of finishing out the climax. I'm actually right in the midst of sort of the climax, but it's a long climax. So yeah, a lot to write. But I'm really happy with how it's turning out. So I'm excited to be writing that today. And it looks like you guys are ready to write as well. Let's see. I see a lot of different writing projects being worked on here, which is so cool. Contemporary graphic novel, awesome. First YA novella, that's so cool. Dark fantasy, so cool. Some people are working on line edits or developmental edits. So, because this is a Write With Me live stream doesn't mean necessarily that you have to be writing your first draft. You could be working on any progress towards getting your book into reality, right? Which means editing and revising and rewriting. So no matter what you're working on today, all of it is good. All of it is moving steps, making steps forward towards your ultimate goal. So showing up is the most important part. So you've already done the hardest thing, which is showing up for yourself. And I am very, very excited to be writing with you guys today. Okay, so the way these live streams work, if you're new here and you haven't done one of these before, is we're going to do 3 writing sprints total, 25 minutes on with 5-minute breaks in between to chat about our books. So during those 5-minute breaks, you guys can ask me questions in the chat and I will answer as many as I can during those breaks, and then we get back into our next sprint. So that's how it works. Super easy, super chill. I'm going to set a timer here, and then I'm also going to set a timer to ring on my phone, which hopefully my phone doesn't die. I have like 9% battery, so we'll see if it lasts. But if not, that's okay too. Let's see. And hopefully my Wi-Fi also won't cut out, because my Wi-Fi can be very finicky sometimes. So let's get into our first sprint. I'm going to go ahead and start one in the chat as well. If you guys want to hop over there into Discord. If you guys are not in Discord, you can also join Discord by joining my Patreon at any level. And the link to that is in the description box below. But if you're not in Discord, no worries. You can still join the sprint here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and join the Discord as well. And set our timers. Let's see. 25 minutes. All right. Let's get our timers ready and let's go for our first sprint. And we will sorry, I don't mean to false start on you guys, but I think my Wi-Fi is having a problem, so I'm going to try to switch it. And if it cuts out, I'm just going to try to come back into this live stream. I really hope that works. I don't know if it will, but I think it might. I don't know. I'm so sorry, guys. I think I messed up with my Wi-Fi here, but let's try. Let me know while I reconnect if it still is here. Okay, are we still live? I think we're still live. Okay. Everyone's saying it looked clear. It seems good. Awesome. I was so afraid if I switched Wi-Fi networks that it would just, the live stream would die. So, okay. I'm glad it's still on. Yay, we're back. Okay, so let's go ahead and restart that sprint. I'm sorry for the false start, guys. I was just really worried because I was on a different Wi-Fi extension that works in a different part of my house. So yes, that would have been bad. Okay, let's restart our timers and try again. Okay, for real this time. Okay, sprint number 1 is done. Type in the chat, tell me how it went. Hopefully that was a good, productive start for you guys. I know for me it was. I am trying to reconnect now. Let's see if we can reconnect here. Okay, am I back? Okay, a lot of you guys are saying I'm back, so I'm gonna just trust that for now. Hopefully it will stay on. I don't know why my Wi-Fi is being so nasty to me today, but hopefully it stays back on. We're gonna just try to power through this. Sorry about that, guys. I do not know why this is happening, but hopefully my upgraded Wi-Fi router will fix this issue for next time. For now, we'll just try to power through it. Okay, let's see, questions. This question's from Farah. I was wondering, how do you insert your world time is different? For example, my book has 30 hours in a day, 90 minutes an hour, 700 days per year, and 14 months. So how do you do it without info overload? That's a really good question. And it's cool that you're like coming up with a different time system for your world. That's very unique. I would just like mention it in passing, like instead of going into a big like exposition dump about it, just maybe have your characters mention like in passing something about how a day is this many hours and a year is this many months, without having to like go into a full-on explanation of all of it all at once. That's what I find is like the most immersive thing in world building, is when it kind of just like goes by casually and naturally, and people are just sort of treating the characters are sort of like treating these kind of different aspects of the world just like they're totally normal, casual things, because that's how your characters would treat it if it was like just normal occurrences for them. So I guess like just sprinkling it in through dialogue and through everyday experiences that your characters have, I think can help to make it feel just more naturally revealed that way. So let's see. Okay. Abbie, I love your outfit. Thank you. Super cute. How's your writing coming along? My writing is coming along really well, and I have quite a lot of this book so far. Let's see. For the word count so far, I think I have like around 120,000 words, and I'm hoping that it won't be too much longer because I am trying to wrap things up with this climax, and I don't want it to linger too long, but trying to make sure that it has the right flow. So my writing has been going very well so far, and I'm also working on some editing projects too simultaneously. Sam I Am gave a super chat. Thank you so much. Still at work, but have a great day, y'all. Thank you for the super chat. So glad you're here, even though you're still at work. Hopefully you can get some writing time in later. Ava asked, do you have any advice on writing foreshadowing? Foreshadowing is a really interesting topic. It's something that I really want to make a video about soon. So tell me if you guys would like to see a video on this, because I think foreshadowing is something that can be so powerful if it's done right, but it's hard to know how to do it. And for me, my favorite go-to is like just sprinkling in subtle clues earlier on, and sometimes doing that in the rewriting process. So sometimes it's hard to foreshadow when you don't fully know what's going to happen in the future in your story or in the end. So what I like to do is, especially if I'm writing a series or something, is to go back to like the first book or the beginning of the first book and look for little opportunities that I can sprinkle in a clue here or there about what might happen later on. So these clues oftentimes can go overlooked if you're not looking for them. That's what makes foreshadowing so juicy and delicious, is when you can go back and see earlier parts of the story in a new light, and you're like, oh, that I can't even believe that I didn't see that clue going by, but it points to something bigger that's going to be revealed later on. So sometimes it can be like a lot of pressure to try to find places to foreshadow in the first draft before you've even written the ending. So what I like to do is go back and add those later on if I didn't have enough earlier. So I think that's a good way to do it. that works for me anyway. Let's see, one more question before our next sprint. Maya asked, I really want to start writing again, but I get stuck in the planning process because I get in my head about the end result. Do you have any advice? I love your content. I'm so glad you love my content. Thank you. And that's a great question. It's something a lot of writers deal with, so you are definitely not alone. Constantly stuck in the planning process, never actually getting to the drafting process, or uprooting yourself over and over again because you think this idea isn't good enough, I have to move on to the next one. A lot of writers struggle with this. I would say to resolve this is to finish something, even if it's something really short, even if it's a short story or a novella or something like that. Any work that you can see through to the end is going to give you so much confidence in yourself to be able to persevere through that and finish an idea, even if it's just something short, something really easy to write, and something that's kind of self-indulgent to write. Make it like a guilty pleasure to go to this book and write it. Make it feel like comfort food. That would be my advice. Don't worry too much about the end result. Like, is it going to turn out okay? Is it going to be saleable? Are people going to like it? Instead, just write what's in your heart. I know that sounds cliche, but write what you would love to read and what you actually genuinely have fun writing. And then just go forth and do it. Even if it's just a short story, finish it and then have that sense of accomplishment of, wow, okay, I finished something. I can finish things, because that teaches your brain, I am a person who sees an idea through to the end and finishes it, even if afterwards I look at it as just, it was practice work. It was experimental. It was designed to help me to get to the place I am now, because some things that you write will be like that, and they're still worthy and they're still they still serve their purpose, even though you might not publish it. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to go ahead and reset my timers. I'm going to get into our second sprint, and then we will chat again in 25 minutes. So reset your timers. Let's get back into it, and we will chat in a few more minutes. Number 2 is done. Great job, guys. Hopefully that was a productive sprint for you guys. See, I'm at 944 words. Sweet. Awesome. So type in the chat. Tell me how it went. I saw a couple of super chats go by, I think. Let me just grab those real quick. Thank you so much first from Richard for the super chat. Any advice on writing fight scenes to teenage boys? I don't want to be too descriptive or disrupt the pacing. Very good question. I actually recently did a live training all about writing fight scenes. So if you want to check that out, definitely do that. You can watch that with the link to my Patreon below this video. But for writing fight scenes, I try to kind of just take it from a different angle each time, depending on what kind of fight scene I'm writing. So in your case, it sounds like maybe like a fist fight or like a friendly brawl or maybe a not so friendly brawl, but you don't want it to be too descriptive or disrupt the pacing by like slowing things down. I would just try to remember that rule of thumb, which is like you see everything happening at the pace at which you read. So if you want this fight to feel like fast paced and maybe not too serious, then bring that into the pacing. So making it super quick descriptions, like super to the point, short descriptions, and keeping the character voice consistent in it as well. So this can be really fun when you're writing a younger character, like a teenage boy character, because you can bring his voice and his sense of humor into the narrative and really show how they see the fight. So that will be different for everybody. But I always like to do this because it just makes a fight scene feel less, I don't know, less dry, less like it could be anybody in a fight, and more like, this is very unique because of how this character is seeing it. So bringing their voice into it would be one thing that I recommend. And then keeping the descriptions like super short and sharp to the point, because your point of view character isn't going to want to linger on like every single thing that's happening beat by beat, because that's really not how we experience fights in real life. So hopefully that helps, but definitely check out that live training because I think you'll love it. Another super chat came in from, for some reason I'm not able to see these names. What the heck? I see the pro, but I don't see the rest of it. I'm sorry. But thank you so much for the super chat. Genuinely appreciative for your endeavor to help new writers believe in themselves. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you've been enjoying my channel. Another super chat. I'm probably going to mispronounce your name. I'm sorry. Guillermo. Thank you so much for the super chat. Abbie, what advice do you give to those who have a story but not a theme? I have my concept, my characters, but not a fear, desire, and misbelief. Great question. So when you have your characters and you have your story premise, that's a great, wonderful place to start. And you can actually find your theme by just exploring what your characters are dealing with. Okay, so if you don't have a theme and you want to create a theme, then I would start with your characters. I would start with what is the thing that you want them to understand? Like, what's the aha moment that you want them to have at some point during the book? And they can have multiple aha moments. It can be multi-layered. But when you're drawing a blank with this, I like to either go to the Enneagram for a great place to start with this. And that's like my go-to for creating characters that feel layered and multidimensional and like they're dealing with real problems and internal conflicts. And you can really branch out a lot from each Enneagram type because each type sort of has a basic desire and a basic fear and a basic misbelief, but you can build upon that and find different ways that those flaws and fears express themselves in different individuals. So that's a great place to start. Another good place is just to ask yourself, like, what is a theme that I would have loved to see in a book when I was growing up, or even a few years ago? I would love to walk in a bookstore and pick up a book, and I would love to relate to a main character who was going through what. So kind of just pondering those questions and asking yourself, like, what would make me feel seen and make me feel like I wasn't alone going through some struggle that you went through in your life. Maybe making it more personal to you is kind of what I try to explore for myself. Is like, what are some complicated things that maybe I went through that I learned something from, that I would like to share that with somebody else and share that experience with someone and make them feel seen through this character. So hopefully that gets your creative juices flowing a bit. That always helps me out. So hopefully that helps you as well. Let's see, another super chat came in from David Lewis. Thank you so much. Do you have any advice for writing out of sequence, i.e. jumping past a scene to come back and write it later? I have done this mostly with the co-write series that I'm writing with my sister, because I've I've outlined some of those books and known what's going to happen after her chapter. So I'll go ahead and like write my next chapter, even though she's not done writing her chapter. So in that way, I've written things out of sequential order. But I think for me to make it work, I have to have a clear sense of where the story is going. Like I have to have an outline. I have to know what are the next few steps, so that maybe if I know the next 5 steps very clearly, I could go write step 3 instead of step 1, and know that I'm going to go back and write step 1 and 2, but step 3 is not going to change based on what step 1 and 2 are, if that makes sense. And that's something that you can kind of sort of predetermine when you have an outline and you have maybe these like chapter by chapter plans for how your story is going to play out. So that would be my advice for that, is like just plan ahead of time what you're going to write, so that way you can more easily write out of sequential order if you want to do that. Let's see, JS Lander, thank you so much for the super chat. Hey Abbie, I've been using your live streams to get my academic writing done. I recently handed in a successful MA thesis with your help. Thank you. That is awesome. Congratulations. And I'm so glad these live streams have been helping and that my channel has been inspiring for you. That means so much to me. Okay, let's see. I'll grab one more question before we head into the next sprint. Let's see. And Myra asked, I am writing a high school fake dating book, and I feel like the plot might be solved with just a conversation, but are all fake dating books like that? And I want to have an explosive third act breakup too. So yeah, I mean, it depends on the fake dating book, obviously. I assume the conversation that would solve everything is like the two characters acknowledging that they both have feelings for each other. But there are many, many ways and reasons for this conversation to not happen. So I would just say, to avoid like the convenient miscommunication trope, make sure that you have actual conflict barriers up that prevent these characters from having these conversations, or this particular conversation. So maybe the conversation that would solve everything is that their feelings are mutual, but there's some obstacle that's preventing them both from having that conversation. So I would just like figure out what those exact things are. It could be their own internal conflict, or maybe it's that one of the characters is obligated to be in a relationship with someone else. So character A can't confess their feelings for character B because character B is like promised to someone else. Or maybe there's like a parent conflict happening, or maybe there's some sort of forbidden love happening, or a class divide, some sort of obstacle that can keep them apart and keep this conversation from happening. That's what I would focus on, creating that obstacle and then making it super obvious to the reader. This is why they can't confess their feelings for each other. I assume that's the conversation that would fix it. So just getting super clear on like what obstacles are keeping them apart and making it more significant than just like miscommunication, or we're just not having this conversation that would be super easy to have. So hopefully that helps and gets the creative juices flowing. All right, let's get into our third and final sprint. My iPad is very close to dying, so hopefully it doesn't. I feel like my equipment is just failing me left and right today. My phone is ready to die. My iPad's ready to die. My Wi-Fi has been really finicky. Hopefully it doesn't go out again. So let's try to get through this last sprint. I'm going to reset my timer here and reset the Discord. Hopefully the screen doesn't go dark either, but okay, 25 minutes on. Let's finish strong, guys. Okay. Great work, guys. Sprint number 3 is done. Tell me how it went in the chat. Hopefully that was a productive final sprint. I see a lot of you guys hit your word count, finished your chapters. Amazing. So cool. Okay, let's see. I reached 1,186 words. Shit. Awesome. A good session all in all, and I'm very, very close to being finished with this chapter. So even if you didn't make as much progress as you hoped, the important thing is that you showed up for yourself. And I am super proud of you for being here and for spending this time with me and spending this time on your creativity. It is time well spent. Trust me, even if you feel like you didn't make as much progress as you hoped for, all progress is good progress. And as I always like to say, there are no bad writing days. Your writing is either great or it is making you great, because every single time you show up and you practice your art, you are bringing yourself one step closer to that dream author life that you hope to have. So even if it feels like it's a long ways away, it's actually happening right now. You're doing it right now. You are living the dream by showing up and spending time with your creativity and hanging out with all of us in the community. So thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this live stream and you enjoy talking with other writers and sort of helping to hold yourself accountable through this community aspect of doing writing sprints together, then you would love the Discord community, and you can join that by joining my Patreon at any level, and the link to that is below this video. So if you feel like joining a super awesome clubhouse and Discord of other writers just like you all over the world and doing writing sprints and sharing your work and all that good stuff, definitely check it out with the link below this video. But I will host these live streams every month on my channel as usual, so stick around for the next one because there will be another Write With Me live stream coming at you next month. So hopefully I will see you guys there as well. And I have lots of fun content coming down the line for you with videos. So keep an eye out for those. And I hope to see you in the next Write With Me live stream and on the Discord community. Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this writing session. I wish you the very best for the rest of your day and your book. Happy writing, and as always, rock on.